of the year, and I know you'll be shocked to hear that Lamar Jackson is on the list with his 36 touchdown passes and 7 more on the ground. Patrick Mahomes passed for 4,031 yards, and Russell Wilson with his 31-5 touchdown interception ratio. He is also a nominee. As for the ground, Nick Chubb finished second in rushing with just under 1,500 on the ground. Derrick Henry led the league in rushing with 1,540 and 16 touchdowns. And then there's Christian McCaffrey with his 2,300 scrimmage yards, most in a season in NFL history. You can vote at NFL.com/FedEx. The winners will be announced Super Bowl week in Miami. And now a closer look at the ground games we're going to see this weekend. Let's kick it out to Cole.
Thank you, Lindsay. We know if you want to win in that second season, you have to have a defense, but you also have to have a few guys that know how to run the rock out of the backfield. So let's keep in stride with that run game. TD and Joe, they're back once again. And when it comes to the top 5 ground games, wild card weekend, TD, we see there's 1 through 5. You want to start at 5 for us?
Yeah, start at 5 here. Let's go ahead, Cole. Tap the Texans right there.
All right,
5 there.
Talked about that one.
Yeah, I like what Duke Johnson is doing and catching 40 receptions there. I like what Carlos Hyde is bringing there over 1,000-yard rushing against that Buffalo Bills defense.
Okay.
I like them at number 5. Let's go with number 4 there. Let's go with the Minnesota Vikings.
Don't you know?
And the reason I have them at number 4, Dalvin Cook's returning. But again, the question mark for him is, can he stay in the game and will he be able to last? That's the only reason why I have them at number 4.
They're not going to be able to run the ball that much, though, because they're going to get behind a Drew Brees and they're going to have to.
No, that's not true.
So that's a bad take.
Saints defense is really good, though. Let's go with number 3 there. Let's go with the New Orleans Saints at number 3.
There you go.
Bam, right there. Again, Kamara last couple of weeks, he had 4 touchdowns. Before that, only 1, I believe. So he's on fire. I like the way he's playing. Latavius Murray also give you that power to change things up. Let's go with number 2.
Not bad. I was just going to say it's a pretty good take because the Saints are going to have an opportunity in 4-minute offense. They're going to get a lot of bites at the apple, so they'll probably get a lot of rushing yards.
So you agree so far?
I'm okay with those 2.
Okay, cool. Let's go with number 2. Let's go with the Bills here. And the reason I'm talking about this, I know Frank Gore, this man, he is the one.
73 years old.
73 years old there. Devil Singletary's playing well. But Josh Allen is the key for me, quarterback that runs with the football, 9 rushing touchdowns. And again, they are playing against a defense, and the Houston Texans are 25th against the rush. That's why they're second. My number 1 team is going to be the, you better tap that.
Tennessee?
You better go ahead. Tennessee. Tennessee. Derrick Henry, the Russian champion. This man is a locomotive. You can't stop him. I get it. I know what Bill Belichick is going to do, trying to take him away. But you know what? It is called resilience. It's called, you know what? We're going to be consistent, and they're going to keep running that football. He had 32 rushes last week on 211 yards. Yeah. That's my number 1 there. Don't forget Deion Lewis as well.
You basically took my argument, but Bill Belichick is going to go to his grave stopping the run in this game because he knows that everything the Titans want to do comes off of the run game to the play action to trying to get those chunk plays. So he will not allow the running game. He might put 12 dudes in the box to stop the run. He does not care about anything but stopping the run in this game.
Is going to be stubborn. Keep running the football.
Only 3 Russian champions have ever made it to a Super Bowl. Emmitt Smith, he did it 3 times. Sean Alexander back in 2005. And back in 1998, some guy who played for the Denver Broncos.
Some memorable wild card moments there in Titans history. Particularly enjoyed the ode to Giselle. Yes, you can throw it and catch it yourself.
Oh, yeah.
From Marcus Mariota against the Chiefs. You played on wild card weekend back when you won your first ring.
Yep.
It's not easy to do, play this early and then go all the way. We haven't seen anyone do it since the Ravens in 2012. Who has what it takes here to go the distance?
Well, there's a lot of variables in trying to run that course. So let's start with the Bills here. Let me go through each team and tell you why I don't see them doing it. The Bills, they have a championship defense, but the offense don't score enough points. So let's cross them off the list. In the postseason, you got to score some points there. All right, let's go with the Titans right there. The Titans, good team right now, but right now I think what they're doing is the slippers are going to come off because they're not used to this kind of thing.
The Cinderella slipper?
And it's three games on the road going to be tough. Let's go to the Texans right there.
Are we crossing them off?
Cross them off. Let's go to the Texans.
Sorry.
They run hot and cold. You can't do that in postseason, so let's cross them off the list.
Out.
Let's hold off on the Patriots for right now.
Okay.
Let's go to the Vikings. Again, this time of year, quarterback play is important. We're going to cross them off the list. Seahawks. They just, run game's not there, the full complement of players, so let's cross them up. I like Russell Wilson, championship quarterback.
I didn't know we were defacing the mascots. I would have done this differently.
The Eagles, again, they just, injuries, and what's happening for them. So now we have the Saints and the Patriots. They have experience, but this team has everything. Let's cross the Patriots out because they're not playing like a championship team right now. Cross them out. The Saints are my team. This team right here, they have the motivation. What happened in the last 2 years with them? They have the quarterback play. They have the talent. They have everything to get it done. 13-3, and they're a wild card team. That's disrespectful.
Offense, defense, coaching, experience. Check.
That's the team right there.
Cole.
Lindsay, so nice.
This thing back rolling. All-Pro linebacker Eric Kendricks also set to return Sunday after dealing with a quadriceps injury. Biggest health issue for Minnesota, their top 2 nickel cornerbacks are out. That could mean more work for safety J-Ron Curse against Saints star Michael Thomas, who has 53 catches this season from the slot. Asked for his level of confidence in others to pick up the slack, Coach Mike Zimmer said, "We will find a way."
Tom P, good stuff. And speaking of Mike Zimmer, the Minnesota Vikings 1-2 in the postseason in the Mike Zimmer era. So as we know, the Saints are rolling out that black and gold carpet for the Vikings on Sunday in the early game at the Dome. So when it comes to a matchup that you're looking for, we talked about some of the earlier games, but which one's piquing your interest right here, TD?
Listen, I know everybody wants to look at this game with the Vikings and the Saints, and they want to go with all over the place. To me, it's only one person that has to play well for their team to win. And it's Kirk Cousins. I mean, I'm going
Minnesota
there.
Vikings fans just took a sigh of
Well, but he
fear.
Listen, Dalvin Cook, I think he's playing. Even if he plays well, which he did, let's go back to week number 2. They played the Green Bay Packers. Dalvin Cook had his best game of the season. They still lost that game because there's plays in that game that Kirk Cousins had to make, right? He didn't make them. Third down, he was 5 of 12. They only completed 3 of those for first downs. His passer rating was 63.5. And in a game like this, what's going to happen is Dalvin Cook on first and second down, Joe, you know this, sometimes you're going to lose those downs. You're going to be in third and long. That's when Cousins has to perform. That's what they're paying him that money for.
This thing back rolling. All-Pro linebacker Eric Kendricks also set to return Sunday after dealing with a quadriceps injury. Biggest health issue for Minnesota, their top 2 nickel cornerbacks are out. That could mean more work for safety J-Ron Curse against Saints star Michael Thomas, who has 53 catches this season from the slot. Asked for his level of confidence in others to pick up the slack, Coach Mike Zimmer said, "We will find a way."
Tom P, good stuff. And speaking of Mike Zimmer, the Minnesota Vikings 1-2 in the postseason in the Mike Zimmer era. So as we know, the Saints are rolling out that black and gold carpet for the Vikings on Sunday in the early game at the Dome. So when it comes to a matchup that you're looking for, we talked about some of the earlier games, but which one's piquing your interest right here, TD?
Listen, I know everybody wants to look at this game with the Vikings and the Saints, and they want to go with all over the place. To me, it's only one person that has to play well for their team to win. And it's Kirk Cousins. I mean, I'm going
Minnesota
there.
Vikings fans just took a sigh of
Well, but he
fear.
Listen, Dalvin Cook, I think he's playing. Even if he plays well, which he did, let's go back to week number 2. They played the Green Bay Packers. Dalvin Cook had his best game of the season. They still lost that game because there's plays in that game that Kirk Cousins had to make, right? He didn't make them. Third down, he was 5 of 12. They only completed 3 of those for first downs. His passer rating was 63.5. And in a game like this, what's going to happen is Dalvin Cook on first and second down, Joe, you know this, sometimes you're going to lose those downs. You're going to be in third and long. That's when Cousins has to perform. That's what they're paying him that money for. Not to run an offense where you have 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 1. No, we want you in 3rd and long, move the chains. He's going to be asked to make some plays. If he doesn't make those plays in a game like this, you got to score more than 30 points against the Saints in that Dome to win that game. Kirk has to make some plays.
Yeah, Kirk right now is a wreck from a confidence standpoint, which is totally the opposite.
He's a wreck from a confidence standpoint?
Yeah, because he was playing poor at the beginning of the season. It was in his head. He was rattled. All of a sudden, they came out of it. Then he went through this long stretch where people were saying, like, he might be an MVP right now. They look great. But then Kirk's the type of guy that he hears everything that people are saying about you can't win the big game. You can't do it when the pressure's on you. And there's going to be no more pressure than he's ever seen in his career than this weekend. Like you said, these wild card playoff weekend games, they always come down to a play here and there. Yeah. And usually it's your quarterback making it on those 3rd and 8s. And right now, after what we've seen from Kirk Cousins in December, he just looks rattled, like he doesn't have it. He doesn't believe in himself because he's let all those things that people have said about him get into his head.
What about his defense? Because they have a matchup against Drew Brees coming off the best December that a quarterback has ever had
that's a good matchup
in the Super Bowl era. They haven't been great so far this year, though. They've been good, not great. They're going to have to be great to beat Drew Brees, right?
Drew Brees, I think the last 6 games, they've been north of 30. They are putting points on the board. I don't care what team they're playing. So if you go into that game, if you're Mike Zimmer, you have to think that we have to put points on the board. Our defense might make a play here and there, but we have to score some points. We can't expect our defense to keep this team in their home building with Drew Brees and the way they've been playing lately under 30 points.
You're just assuming they're going to put up points, and we just have to also.
We got to match it.
Kirk Cousins and that Minnesota Vikings offense, they play the best when they know it's going to be a close game where they can run the football, they can throw the play action and take deep shots off of that. But if it becomes one of these games where you get behind early and all of a sudden it's Kirk Cousins stand back in the pocket, has to throw us back in and win the game, we know he'll probably put up a lot of numbers in those situations, but he doesn't usually win those games.
Yeah, since week 14, you see in the bottom line, there are 15 passes